go. Hey guys, welcome to my first ever Physio Fridays. I am super excited to talk with you guys today and start sharing some knowledge that I have about how our bodies work, how we can use that to improve your own kind of personal performance day to day. Hopefully, maybe um, help you manage some pain or aches and issues that you have kind of just generally. Um, and I just think that knowledge is power. And the more that you know about how your body works, the more that you can change within yourself, which is amazing. Um, so all I ask is that you give me some grace as we get going with these, because I'm still learning a lot of stuff. I'm still learning kind of all the video stuff. And obviously this is my first time, so can only go up from here. All right. So today I thought we would talk about something that we do all day, every day. You don't even think about it. If you stop doing it, you would die. Any guesses? If you guessed we're going to talk about breathing today, you would be correct. So I wanted to start there because breathing is so crucial to our lives and can have such a big impact on how your body feels, how your body moves, and can be transformative if we just get a handle on breathing, which sounds kind of crazy. You're like, I do that all day, every day. Why? How does that transform my life? We're going to talk about it. Okay. So we're going to start with just kind of the basics. Like, hopefully you remember this from elementary school science class. When you breathe, which we have to do all the time or you die, right? That's not a good thing. You will always find a way to breathe. What happens is our lungs expand, our ribs expand, we take air into our lungs, which then the oxygen gets transferred to our blood, which goes throughout our body, nourishing everything, making everything run just so. And then we breathe out carbon dioxide and carry on with our lives. However, breathing, unfortunately, is not truly that simple. And has a big impact on how you feel, on your posture, on muscle activation, and on so many things within our body, just with our breathing. It's so crucial to how we feel and function, and yet seems to be kind of overlooked a lot of times, how we're breathing. So to start with, let's just talk some basic anatomy. Don't worry, we will not get too sciencey here, and I'm not gonna like quiz you over all of the muscles or anything that go with breathing, but I do wanna talk about it so that you know what we're talking about here. So pictured here are kind of several layers of our body. So on this side here is just showing you all of the muscles that you have across your chest, your rib cage, and your abdominal cavity in the front. This side shows our diaphragm, which lies kind of right here at the bottom of our rib cage, and it's a dome shape like this. And sits right there. It's the very deepest layer. It actually separates our lungs, which sit about here, from our stomach and abdominal contents there, all our organs and everything. So there's that fun part. So when we breathe in, actually what happens is our diaphragm right here comes down and flattens out a little bit, which helps to expand the rib cage, and we have to actively bring air into our bodies with the diaphragm and with some of these other muscles here to bring air in. And then it's kind of a passive thing, just the way that the physics work, to bring the air back out of our body. So in, we have to work a little bit. The muscles have to activate and draw down. Out just kind of naturally happens, unless you're coughing, sneezing, or laughing, and then it's a little bit more forceful. What happens is a lot of times we get this backwards. So these muscles over here are our stress muscles. MM stands for muscles there, right here. So what happens is we get stressed, and so we should breathe from our diaphragm. It should pull down to let our lungs expand fully. Most of the time, for a lot of people, that's not how we breathe on the day-to-day, because any number of things can disrupt this, from stress, anxiety, pain, overwhelm, feelings of panic, of, if you're running late, anything can kind of disrupt this breathing pattern, but we should be able to return to it. And a lot of us can't. We have trouble because we're just so stressed with our life. And especially right now, as we all know, with the unknown happening, it just kind of adds an extra kind of constant layer of stress to everybody's life. And so this is hugely important to kind of take into account, because if you can return to that diaphragmatic breathing, you will actually feel calmer and like you're more able to address the stressors and be able to deal with things that are coming at you during the day. So I want you to think about, maybe you feel this way right now, a time that you felt really stressed or anxious or overwhelmed. Just think about that, kind of put yourself in that place and take note of your body positioning with that. What does your body look like when you're really stressed, you're really tense, and you're just really overwhelmed maybe with some stuff, right? A lot of times our shoulders kind of creep up and they come forward. Sometimes like we'll clench our arms to our sides, but you get this kind of posture, and you can just kind of see the tension and feel that stress there, right? Even just moving your shoulders into that, go ahead and try that. Bring your shoulders up and kind of in, bring your arms in like this, like you're just really tense, and you can feel the difference in your breath. It gets harder. It's harder to breathe here. But this posture also automatically triggers our fight or flight response. Okay, it automatically kicks in all of those stress hormones and the stress response, increasing your respiratory rate, increasing your heart rate, increasing your blood pressure, all of those things. Automatically, just moving into this posture and being a little bit more tense and stressed. Guess what? You're not breathing from your diaphragm. It's almost impossible to breathe from your diaphragm in that position. So what happens is we use these stress muscles that we talked about here, right here. And we start breathing from our neck, because these muscles attach to the top part of our rib cage. And so then we start to breathe, and I've even seen some people breathe and they breathe in and actually arch back in order to get breath into their lungs, because they're so tense, they can't use their diaphragm to do it. Right. So if you're that tense and you're breathing from up here, you're only using from about here up in your lungs, which is about this much space. Your lungs take up so much more space than that. If you're using your stress muscles to breathe, you're probably breathing from here up. Your lungs come all the way down to here where your diaphragm is. Look at all this wasted space right there that's not getting oxygen into it. Guys, no wonder you feel even more stressed, because you can't even get air into your lungs to be able to breathe well, to get enough oxygen to your body for it to feel like it can function okay. So what do you do about that? Right? We don't want to live there. You want to be able to stop that pattern. You want to be able to breathe appropriately and get those nice deep breaths, which will help signal to your body to calm down and relax. And sometimes I focus on this too, if you're having trouble like going to sleep because you've got a lot of stuff going on in your brain. You can focus on your breathing, which will help you to relax and be able to fall asleep a little bit easier. So a lot of people will tell you to breathe into your belly. Just breathe into your belly and then you'll get this diaphragm. While that does work and you can breathe, think about breathing into your belly, that still doesn't actually use your entire diaphragm, right? I talked about our diaphragm is super big. Hold on, let me show you here. Pause. Okay, so your diaphragm goes all the way across, and front to back. If I breathe just into my belly, that leaves out this whole back half of the diaphragm. and you're not going to get full lung expansion with just belly breathing. Okay, you have to think about 360 breathing, which is almost more like thinking breathing down into your pelvis, breathing down rather than out. This will also change the pressure within your abdominal cavity, which is a whole different topic that I will probably cover at some point because I think it's fascinating and really important as well. So what you want to think about doing is put one hand up here and just take a breath normally and just kind of see, am I even breathing right now from my diaphragm down here, or am I breathing from my chest? If you're breathing from your chest, it's going to look like this. So your shoulders might come up, you might lean back with it, but it's going to be all up here, and this lower hand isn't going to move at all. Okay, so just assess where you're at right now. How are you breathing? Is it easy to breathe in really deeply, or do you take a really short, fast breath? Is it, I can't tell you how many times I've told people, okay, take a nice deep breath in for me, and they go, and I was like, that wasn't a deep breath, that took you half a second. A deep breath should take several seconds to go in and fill your lungs completely because you've got a big lung field. So it should take a little bit longer to be able to fill that up than just a, okay? So can you take a deep breath? Can you take longer than half a second to fill your lungs? Try it and see, and just kind of see where you're at right now. If you're like, well, crap, I can't do that, let's talk about it. What I want you to do instead of thinking about breathing into your belly, so I want you to put your hands along your rib cage here, making sure that your thumbs are touching along your back. Okay, like this. And what you're going to do is try to breathe into your hands. And you should feel your ribs move underneath your hands. And for some people, this is harder to feel because I'm well practiced at feeling this, and I understand that. So it might take a few attempts, and you might have to close your eyes and really focus and see if you can get those ribs at the bottom to move. Can you feel it move into your thumb? Can you feel it move into your fingers in the front? If not, it might just take you some practice. A lot of times we're so stressed out and we're so used to using this upper chest breathing and using our neck muscles, which only increases our neck and shoulder tension, which increases aches and pains and poor posture. If you're breathing up there, you might have forgotten how to use your diaphragm. That can happen. And it takes a little bit of practice to get your brain to reconnect to your diaphragm to really get it to engage. The great thing about breathing is you do this all day long. So guess what? You can work on this at any point during the day, right? I don't care who you are, what you have going on, how busy your life is, you can work on your breathing. You're shuttling your kids all over Timbuktu, and you've got 800 activities that you're doing, and you spend most of your day in your car. Perfect. Sit at a stoplight, and the whole time you're waiting at the stoplight, am I breathing into my diaphragm? Can I do that? Can I get my ribs to expand? Can I breathe down instead of up or out? Just assess those things and then work on trying to get it to do that. Go down, get your rib cage to expand, and breathe out. When you breathe out, the key here is to breathe out, especially when you're trying to reconnect to your diaphragm a little bit more. The key is to breathe out all of the air that you possibly can. Okay, so breathe in really deep and down into that diaphragm. So if you can get a really good exhale and get all of the air that you possibly can, breathe all the way out until you feel like you can't breathe anymore and you might pass out. Breathe out all of the air. The next breath that you take in, you might feel better expansion down there at the lower ribs. because you breathe all the air out that you could possibly get, and your body has nothing else but to expand. So it's great. So that's one tip, is to breathe out completely, get all of the air out of your lungs that you possibly can, and then try to take another deep breath down into your pelvis almost. Think about breathing down into your pelvis and into your back, and see if you can't get better expansion. Can you get a fuller breath? Can you take 1 extra second to get air into your lungs? And then breathe it all back out, and do that 3 to 5 times at a time, and do that just whenever you think about it during the day. Especially if you feel like you're having a lot of trouble getting deep breaths in. The more that you practice it, the better you get at it. If you're like, well, there's times that I feel stressed and there's times that it's not so bad. If it feels pretty easy to breathe in deep, great. If you notice that you start to get a little more tension, or you're feeling really anxious or overwhelmed, you can do kind of a box breath. So take a 4 count and breathe in. Hold it for a 4 count, breathe out for a 4 count, hold that for 4 count. So you're gonna breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. And do that 3 to 5 times. And you'll notice that, or you should notice, you start to feel a little bit more relaxed. You're like, okay, I'm calm again. Again, this can be great if you're having trouble going to sleep, just really focusing, even close your eyes and really focusing on breathing in. And at night, I would even recommend going for an 8 or a 10 count to breathe in and out rather than a 4 count. Because those, when you sleep, you take really deep, slow, long breaths. And so that can kind of help prep your body for that. Anyway, that's most of it. The other suggestion that I have, especially if you're like, well, I can only breathe into my belly, I can't seem to get that 360 thing, I highly recommend child's pose, which is laying down on top of your knees. If you need to, you can put some pillows under your hips to help support that a little bit. And then stretching your arms out in front of you and trying to take breaths into your back. You're going to think about taking that air in and breathing into your back as opposed to into your belly. But that's a good way, because being in that position helps to kind of block your abdominals a little bit more. And so it can give you a little better cues to expand your back, which can help with back pain and back tension. This can help with shoulder tension and postural issues, especially if you sit at a computer all the time and you get that really nice slouched head forward, rounded shoulder posture. You know, take breaks, sit up tall, because if you're slouched, guess what? That crunches down on that diaphragm and it doesn't have anywhere to expand to. So you can't take a deep breath if you're all slouched over and crunched. So sit up tall, work on that posture, sit up tall, breathe deep down into your pelvis, trying to get that 360 breath in, and then breathe it all out. That's a good break for your body posturally, especially if you sit a lot during the day for work. So hopefully you found some of these suggestions helpful. Breathing can be powerful because it does help to regulate our stress response as well as our fight or flight response. So it can help calm anxiety, stress, feelings of overwhelm or panic. You can help to help you feel more in control, because you have this strategy in your back pocket at all times on a way to calm down. Or if you start to feel really angry, maybe you get frustrated at a situation, stop and take 2 good breaths into your diaphragm. And if you've been practicing this when you're not as stressed, your body will be able to recall that and remember that when you are stressed, and it will be easier then. So I highly recommend that you work on this. Like I said, you can work on this anywhere, anytime, any place, because nobody's going to really pay attention to it except you. And it's super easy. 3 to 5 breaths at a time, working on breathing down into that pelvis, getting that rib cage to fully expand 360 around, and to see how that makes you feel. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Let me know how I can help you, or if you've got anything, any other general questions or something. I'm also looking for ideas still for videos to shoot. So let me know what you think, and I'm excited to share some more knowledge like this with you guys. Thanks.